Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Matty here from Chill TCG. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 16 deck lists from our Chill Series tournament. The Chill Series number 17 that wrapped up a few days ago on Wednesday. It was an awesome tournament. We had 222 players, and we had just a really great turnout of great players who did really well in the tournament. So I'm really excited to go ahead and take a look at all of their deck lists. Before we get into it though, I want to let you guys know that the $3,000 cash prize pool GG Tour Chill TCG Cup is tomorrow as I record this. This video should be posted about later Friday night. And this means that, of course, tomorrow at noon, this tournament kicks off. It's a regional style event, which means that it's a 2-day event. It goes from January 23rd, Saturday, to January 24th on Sunday. So just like a normal regional style event, there is, a payment to enter the tournament. It is $10, but $10 entry for a $3,000 prize pool is not bad at all, especially considering that you can use my code CHILL2 to get 20% off your registration fee. It supports the channel, so I highly suggest that you guys go play in this tournament. It's just $8 with my code to enter. It's really not too much of a big payment there to potentially win hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And top 32 players actually win at least $50 cash, so that's another big reason why you should play. It's pretty easy to get that $50. Well, I mean, relatively easy, right? So yeah, go check it out, guys. Link to register will be down below. I highly suggest that you guys go play. It's really the biggest, most premier online event every month, the GG Tour Chill TCG Cup online regional style event. So yeah, go register for that. Link to register will be down below. And you can do everything. It's all going to be on Limitless, just like everything else. But getting into it, yeah, Chill Series 17, man. It was an awesome tournament. So these are the top 16 players here, a wide variety of countries and a decent variety of decks here. At number 16, we're going to be starting off with Trison. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. He's from the US. He went 9-4, and he was playing Eternatus. So let's take a look at his Eternatus list. Okay. So this is, so it's Poison Eternatus. Personally, one of my favorite ways to play Eternatus. A lot of people have kind of strayed away from the poison variant recently. A lot of people are playing just sort of disruption with hammers and drill and chaotic swell and things like that, which is definitely a really valid way to play Eternatus. But this poison variant is definitely the most powerful version. I think you can hit for 320 pretty consistently with the poison plus that 270 from Eternatus. So definitely enough to KO some VMAX Pokemon, which can be very, very scary to play against this deck. He's got the 4-3 lineup of Eternatus. He's got a 4-3 lineup of Krogunk and Toxicroak, 4 Crobats, 2 Slowbro Vs to get the poison off, and then 2 Hoopas as sort of his single prize attacker here from the, I believe that's from Vivid Voltage. So definitely a really, or is it from Darkness Blaze? I think it's from Vivid Voltage. But yeah, definitely a really strong deck list here. Again, he's got the 4-4-3 lineup between Boss, Research, and Marnie. That's pretty standard. There's not a lot of variance with this deck, which means that most of the cards you're running are either 3-ofs or 4-ofs, which definitely gives the deck a bit of consistency, but a lot of times you don't get exactly the card you need. You just sometimes with decks like this, you get a lot of cards, a lot of the same cards in your hand, which isn't necessarily what you need, right? But plenty of Pokemon Search, right? 4 Quick Ball, 3 Pokecom, 3 Great Ball. That's sort of in line with Eternatus. And then we have 3 Dark City as our stadium to give our Dark Pokemon free retreat, and then a total of 10 energies, which is pretty standard as well. 6 Basic Dark, 2 Capture, and 2 Hiding Energy. So I like this list a lot. I think that it's probably one of our most powerful attacking lists in the game right now. With that poison on along with Eternatus, you can hit for like 320 or even more, I think, which is just absolutely crazy. So yeah, big shout out to Trison. I'm not sure, for getting 16th in the tournament with Eter. Next up, we have Grant M. Grant M was playing a other deck, so we'll check it out. I think this was a control deck. And I probably won't have too much to say about this because I don't know much about control. But let's take a look. This is probably going to be one of the more interesting lists that we see today. Okay, so it doesn't even fit on the screen, so we'll... Okay, this deck list is massive. Okay, there's a lot going on here. I'll try my best to explain it, but I don't really know too much about control, so... one thing that I'll have to look a little bit deeper into is that Alolan Muck. I don't know exactly what it does, but we have the Munchlax with Snack Search, which is definitely really cool, and then we have Snorlax with Gourmandize. It's important to note that those are both basic Pokemon, and you don't have to evolve into Snorlax. But definitely really cool. 2 very good draw supporting Pokemon there. We have 2 Absol, which is going to reduce the retreat cost of our opponent's basic Pokemon by 1, which is obviously not bad. And then we have a 1-1 lineup of Altaria, just to sort of, as that, it's kind of a strategy against some matchups to just lock your opponent. A lot of decks can't deal with Altaria, and if you just run it and they don't kind of tech for it, then it's going to be an easy win for you. What's interesting, though, is we have a Lucmetal with a Mawile and a Zacian, although we do not have any metal energies. I think that Lucmetal is just there to pop off to reduce damage done to all your Pokemon by 30. I think it's definitely a very valid... a very valid card to have in this list. It's definitely cool to see a 3-prize Pokemon in control like this. And he also has Mawile GX, which I think is probably for the ability, which is also very interesting. And then Zacian, of course, for the ability as well to draw some cards. We have Delmise there, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look, because I don't know exactly what Delmise does or Alolan Muck. So Delmise here, he has Seaweed Grab, put a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand. That's definitely really cool. And I don't think we have the energy cost to use Buster Swing there. Let me take a look at the Muck before we go any further. So it's got the ability Adventurous Appetite. So when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you look at the top 6 cards of your opponent's deck and discard any number of item cards that you find there. And then your opponent shuffles the other cards back into their deck. So this is definitely really cool. This is a card that you can kind of repeat, because when you scoop it up, it of course it devolves the Pokemon and you get to keep the the evolved version. So it's definitely really cool. I like that ability. Definitely super disruptive. And if I check, he is definitely running. Yeah, he's definitely running a 4 of Scoop Up Net for sure. We have the Giratina here to discard Special Energy from our opponent's Pokemon, which definitely goes very well in this deck as well. We have Mew to block several damage spreading decks, things like Pikarom or Inteleon or really whatever might be spreading damage to some of these single prize Pokemon on our bench. And then we have Oricorio GX as well as a draw supporter. So plenty of different Pokemon in this deck. We have Cynthia Caitlin, Boss's Orders, and Birdkeeper. Definitely very cool to see all those cards as well. We have a Bill's Analysis, a Lieutenant Surge, 1 Malalana, and 1 Opal, and 1 Giovanni's Exile as well. So plenty of different variety in the supporter count. It's definitely just super cool. Let me check what Opal does. I honestly forget. I've never played Opal. Flip 2 coins, suit your deck for a number of cards. For a number of cards up to the number of heads. Put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So that's pretty cool. I guess it's a card that helps you search for just any specific card that you might need, which is also, I guess, can be pretty useful. You're only running 1 of in the deck, though, which is a little bit interesting. But you also have Bill's Analysis and stuff like that. So it's a cool list. Only 4 Quick Ball. That's our only Pokemon search. 4 Scoop Up Nets, 4 Dolls, 3 Stamps. We have a Yellhorn to confuse, Pal Pad to get supporters back, Ordinary Rod to shuffle Pokemon and energy back into our deck. We have Surprise Box, which is what? Flip a card from your opponent's discard pile, or put a card from your opponent's discard pile into their hand. That's very interesting indeed. I guess that can be good when we run in cards that discard cards from their hand. Or I guess you could use that with Mawile, things like that. So definitely very interesting. We have Tool Scrapper as well with 3 Galar Mines, which goes along with Absol. We have a Wondrous Labyrinth to reduce the attack cost as well of our opponent's Pokemon. And we have 2 Capture Energies and 1 Recycle Energies. So only 3 energies in this deck. It's a very, very interesting deck here. Plenty of variety in this list. There's a lot going on. Again, I'm not big-brained enough. I never play Control, so I don't even know really how I would play this deck at all. But for you Control players, this is definitely something that's probably pretty cool to look at. I guess it's an abomination and a masterpiece all in one. But it's definitely super cool. I apologize, I don't have much else to say about this Control list. I've literally never played Control in my life, so... but anyway, big shout out to Grant M, man. That's one heck of a list to make top 16 with in a 220-player tournament. Okay. Next up, we have CB Malice. I don't know what countries he's from. He got 14th in the tournament, and he was playing Decidueye and Goons. So let's take a look at his Decigoons list. If it'll load. Okay, cool. So this is kind of that typical Decigoons list that we've seen recently. I think there was quite a few players that have been pretty successful with this Decigoons list. Gabe Shumway is one that comes to mind. Zach Cooper as well. Those are some avid Decidueye and Goons players, which always seem to make like top 16 in these tournaments because they really do have a pretty decent matchup spread. And if you're not teching for this deck, it's going to be a lot of trouble for you. I don't know if I'll cover too much of this list. I think I've talked about it a wide variety of times, but he's got the primary focus of Decidueye with a couple Zigzagoon and Opsigoons in there. Of course, 4 Scoop Up Nets. He's got Jirachi Engine, Snorlax, Mew, Mewtwo, Mimikyu, and Fion. All kind of good support single prize Pokemon. 4 Birdkeeper just goes well in this deck, as well as going well with Rowlet to use that attack if you need to. 4 Rosa. Rosa's very keen. It's a very clutch card in this deck. Very useful as well with a deck that has only single prize Pokemon for sure. And then he's got 4 research, 1 Marnie, and only 1 boss's orders, but, you know, it's not that big of a deal. You do have Mewtwo. You are running 4 scoop up nets, so definitely cool to see. 4 quick balls, and then 4 rare candies as well to get into your Decidueyes and your Obstagoons. Pokecom as well, because you do have a pretty wide variety of Pokemon. And then 2 ordinary rods, that makes sense. 3 aromatic, 2 dark, 2 capture, and then 2 grass energy. So I like this deck. I think it's got a little bit of everything. I think it's very consistent, and I think that it's definitely a deck that you really have to be pretty skilled to do well with it consistently. Because I know for me, like I don't really have any experience with Decidueye Goons, but this is a deck that would definitely, for me, would be very scary to play against. And it just has a lot of everything. Like the Mimikyu and the Mew are definitely really clutch in some matchups. As well as like the Decidueye and Obstagoon can just lock a lot of cards out of the game. So I like this list a lot. It makes total sense why this list has been seeing success. And we have another Decidueye Goons like higher up in the tournament here, so I assume it's probably going to be a similar list. But big shout out to CB Malice for getting 14th in the tournament. Next up, we have Magnichu, which is Mike Fouché. He's a fantastic player. Sees a lot of success throughout the game. He was our highest sort of ranking Pikarom in this tournament. He got 13th from the US, 9-4. So let's take a look at his Pikarom list. I think Mike's been running a few different versions of Pikarom recently, so it'll be interesting to see. Okay, so this is sort of just a normal Pikarom with hammers. Nothing too crazy here. We do not see the Vikavolt, so he's kind of disrespecting Mad Party, which I think's fine. We didn't really see any Mad Party do well in this tournament, so probably a smart play on Mike's half. Everything else is pretty standard. The only thing that I really notice here is that he's running 2 stamps, which I think is actually normal on one end. But he's only running 2 boss's orders, but he is running that Great Catcher. So personally, this is something that I kind of like. I think Great Catcher is really good in decks that do like to gust a lot. There's still a lot of oftentimes a lot of GX Pokemon on your opponent's bench, and Great Catcher is a card that you can, really dig for and just pull it out because it is an item card. It's not a supporter card. You can research and then find Great Catcher where you can't do that with boss. He's got 2 Chaotic Swell, so I'm kind of looking to see maybe where he found the space to put that second Swell in here. I don't exactly know where. I think he took out a Bolton, so there's only 2 Boltons in this list with an extra Swell. Only 2 Boss with a Great Catcher in there. Everything else seems pretty standard. He's got 2 Energy Switch instead of 2 Tag Switch, and he is running a Big Charm in this list as well, which I like. I do like Big Charm. It's good to put on the Mewtwo. It protects you from Eternatus, right? Somewhat. You can also put that onto Raichu and Raichu. You can even put the Big Charm on things like Dedenne or Crobat, which kind of protect you from getting, or the Eldegoss to protect you from getting sort of ultimate raid for 3 prize cards, which is definitely really clutch. So I like Big Charm in this list. It's only a one-of, so it might be a little bit difficult to find it, but when you do find it, it's definitely going to be very, very clutch. So on top of 2 air balloons, I think this list is really cool. Mike Fouché, he's been kind of bending and twisting Pikarom recently, and he's seen a lot of success, and he's a really fantastic player. So if you're interested in playing Pikarom, that might be a list that you go and look a little bit further to. So big shout out to Mike Fouché. Next up, we have Marcelo P. He's from Chile, went 9-4 with a good resistance here, and he was playing against ADP. Or he was playing ADP, sorry. So let's take a look. This is ADP. I don't think we'll see anything a little bit different here. Oh yeah, okay. So this is sort of a little bit of a newer version of ADP, I guess. I don't know if it's necessarily new, but I've seen it more often popped up here recently. This list, of course, is running no Marnies, which is something interesting to note, but he's running 4 Research, 4 Boss, and we see a Skyla. Now, Skyla, in my opinion, is very good in ADP, but it's a one-of, so it's a little bit hard to find. If you do find that Skyla, it can be very clutch in the early game. This is because you can search out for any of these trainer cards, right? So you can find your Saucer, E-Switch, Spinner, Great Catcher, Tool Scrapper, Vitality Band, whatever you might need in this list, you can just go find it. And oftentimes in turn 1, you can get like a Metal Saucer off, but you don't have the E-Switch, or you find the E-Switch, but you can't get the Saucer and to get the energy onto your Sage Need, right? So Skyla is going to help with that, give you a little bit more consistently to find that that turn 1 Altered Creation GX attack, which is really what this deck is always going for. Another thing that's interesting to note is we have 2 Great Catchers with 4 Boss, so plenty of gusting option here. He's running a 4 of E-Switch. He's got 4 Quick Ball, 3 Cherish Balls, so definitely consistently finding all the Pokemon in your deck. What else? So there's no Zamazenta. I know some people are running Zamazenta now in ADP. I don't know if it's necessarily needed. We see 1 Tool Scrapper, 2 air balloon. Okay, so yeah, he's running 2 Vitality Band instead of like a Big Charm or multiple air balloons or more air balloons or anything like that. Vitality Band is really cool. Like, I like Vitality Band in this deck. It's something that you can slap on Zacian, and then after the ADP boost, you hit for 270. And this means that you are KOing things like Pigrom with Big Charm, I believe, maybe. I'm not. Yeah, I think so. As well as Mewtwo and Mew GX, which is oftentimes a really like a strong choice for them to play, right? So if you're running Vitality Band, it kind of widens your broadens your horizons there and your opportunities to get one-hit KOs with Zacian after that ADP boost. And really, that flexibility is going to be really important for this deck. I think Big Charm is also good, but I think Vitality Band makes this deck a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more scary to play against. And I think ADP does well when it's playing more aggressive and less defensive. So this is a list that I like. I think it's pretty consistent. I like the Skyla. I think maybe trying multiple Skylas in your deck might just help for consistency reasons, but otherwise, I really like this list. And it's always cool to see when ADP is sort of changing a little bit. So ADP saw a decent amount of success as well in this tournament. Next up, we have Zach Lesage. So the Lone Blown, our podcast co-host, actually did play in the Chill Series this week, which is definitely really cool. And he went 11th, which is definitely not a bad run. His list is pretty funny, though. He's from Canada, went 9-4. Got 11th in the tournament. Let's take a look at his Eternatus list. I know for a fact he was actually playing a one-of copy of Rose, Busted Rose. So this list is actually very, very funny. Other than that, it's kind of just like a pretty typical Eternatus list. It's like half Disruption, half just sort of straight Eternatus. He is running a 4-4-4 lineup between the Eterns and Crobat, 4 Zigzagoon as well, and he is running the 3 Spiritombs, which in my opinion probably is like the best late game single prize attacker, but with damage spread, it can be a little bit scary to play a deck like this, but play Spiritombs like that. But I like it. I like running Spiritombs personally. It's my favorite single prize attacker to run. And we see a Sableye V as well. Sableye V is actually, in my opinion, it's probably not. Like, I don't love it in Eternatus only because it takes 2 energies, and dedicating 2 energies to Sableye with so many hammers running around right now in the format seems a little bit sketchy, especially since you have to put 2 energies on Eternatus anyway. It just doesn't really seem like incredibly worth it for me, but I guess it can come in clutch at some points. But Sableye V's in this deck, and then we have a Yveltal, I think, for free retreat. It's a good pivot. That first attack and discard special energy, so definitely not a bad single prize Pokemon to run in this deck either. We got 4 Research, 4 Marnie, 3 Boss, pretty standard, but we do have that 1 Rose, which is actually very, very funny. So I think it's just attached to 2 basic energies from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon VMAX, and if you do, you discard all the cards in your hand. So this can be very clutch sometimes. Like, I'm not going to lie, it can be very clutch, but it's very situational. I watched Zach stream the tournament. He was the featured stream throughout the tournament, live on Twitch. And I believe he used Rose like once or twice through the entire tournament, but it's definitely not like a super, it's not a card that you'd be using very often, I guess you can say. But I think he did it for the memes, Zach, and he did fantastic with this kind of a funny list here with 1 Rose. But I love it. I love when Zach plays and he plays funny decks like this, and actually did very well. I mean, otherwise, E-Turn's a very strong list, so like if you're a good player, even if you're running a couple meme cards in your deck, right, you still have a lot of room for success. And he went 9-4, which is definitely pretty good. So yeah, 4 Quick Balls, 3 Switch, 3 Pokecom, 3 Great Balls, all that's pretty standard. And then he's got 2 Dangerous Drill in there, just because, I guess, right, it's pretty good. Like, I think Dangerous Drill oftentimes in E-Turn is better than Crushing Hammers. I don't know, like, you can run both and just go full Disruption, but I think Dangerous Drill is probably more worth it if you're only running 2 than running just 2 Hammers, I think, for sure. You can discard Stadium, Special Energy, tool cards, I believe, like that. So it's definitely really cool. And then we have 1 Chaotic Swell, which just makes sense in my opinion. He's running a 4-of Switch. He does have the Yveltal pivot, so Dark City's not really needed. Power Plant seems a little bit silly in Eternatus these days, so Chaotic Swell definitely makes sense. And then he's just got the 10 basic Dark Energies. So it's cool to see. I like it, Zach. It's a very interesting list, to say the least. But I appreciate you playing, and congrats on getting 11th. Congrats on getting 11th in the tournament. Next up, we're going to have a wide stretch of Lucmetals here, so I'm just probably going to zip through them pretty quick. First up, we have Jonathan Patricio from Chile. And this is very basic, just Lucmetal here. I really can't say anything else. I guess he's running only 2 dolls, but I think that's standard these days. Tool Scrapper, 4 Goggles, 4 Coding Energies. But everything else looks very, very standard. The Pokemon count, the supporter count, this is a very standard Lucmetal list. And if you're looking to play Lucmetal, this might just be the best list for you. We're going to be looking at a few, maybe one or two lists up a little bit higher in the tournament that change things around slightly, and that, I guess, can be said to be, like, you can say that that's the better Lucmetal list for, just because of results. But I mean, Jonathan Patricio is a great player, and this Lucmetal list has proven to see a lot of success, and a lot of people run this exact list. So, big shout out to Jonathan Patricio. I think he's ranked #1 in the Chill Series Season 2 ranking so far, which is definitely very, very impressive. We got Clayton Fagan next up from the U.S. He went 10-3, so this is our first person to break the 9-win threshold. Just bubbled outside of top cut. He's also playing Lucmetal. Surprise, surprise. And I see a sneaky Aegislash in this list. So instead of running 2 Zamazentas, he's running 1 Zamazenta and 1 Aegislash. I don't know if necessarily that's the best idea, but yes, so this is sort of an example of what I was saying before. He's running 2 Stealthy Hoods with 3 Metal Goggles, and he also has a Guzma Hala in his deck as well. So this is, and 1 less Hammer. So this is a little bit of a different list. It's changed a little bit. I think this has a better Decidueye Goons matchup. It also does better in some ways. Like the Stealthy Hood helps a lot for, Centiskorch not being able to Giratina you, or Poison E-Turn, but you have only 1 Zamazenta, so that matchup becomes a little bit less good than if you had 2. So it's kind of a mix in between. I think he kind of thought the Stealthy Hoods would help me in a lot of those matchups, so I don't need 2 Zamazentas. I'm going to run the Aegislash so I can get the auto win on Decigoons. It's pretty smart. I like this list a lot. I think it has potential. It definitely could have done really, really well in the tournament. Again, this is just a little bit different. So if you're looking to kind of run a little bit of a spicy version of Lucmetal, this might be the list for you. So I like this one a lot, actually, the more I look at it. Big shout out to Clayton Fagan. And then we have Gabriel Pino Cimedo. I don't know. He got 8th in the tournament, so now we're on to top 8. He's from Brazil. He went 10-4. And he was also playing Lucmetal. So let's take a look at his Lucmetal list and see if anything sticks out to us. Okay. So he's running 1 extra energy in total. He's got 15 in total and only 3 coding. He's not running the Aegislash, but he has an extra Galarian Stunfisk in there, which of course also is very good in the Decidueye Goons matchup. So, if you're interested in running a single price Pokemon that can help well with Decigoons, then that's probably the best Pokemon to do that. We see it often very similar supporter count. I think the same as the last deck that we saw. He's not running Stealthy Hood, however. He's running just sort of that extra Pokemon in Galarian Stunfisk and the extra energy or 2 as well. So I like this deck. I don't know if I like it as much as the other one. I think Aegislash V is very good. It's very good in just a lot of matchups. I don't know if 15 energies is necessarily needed. I like 4 coding, especially for for the Centiskorch matchup. Other than that, I really like this list, man. It's pretty cool. 2 Chaotic Swell. This is just it's cool. We saw 3 Lucmetal lists just now. All of them are a little bit different. But we're going to see a couple more higher up as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly. Like I said, this is just a little bit a different take on it. You're going to struggle more with Centiskorch, but you're probably going to have, with the extra energy, it's going to be a little bit more fast-paced, a little bit more consistent, as well as, that Galarian Stunfisk V, of course, still helping out with the Decidueye matchup. So, cool. Big shout out to Gabriel for getting top 8 with Lucmetal. Next up, we have our highest placing Decigoons in the tournament at number 7, Emro VMAX. From the U.S. went 10-3-1. I forget your real name, my dude. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's see if this is like the other one that we saw. Okay, so it is. It's very similar, except he's not running Mimikyu at first glance. And what else is different? I think he's running a Marnie. I don't think the other deck was running Marnie, if I'm correct. The Pokemon lineup is exactly the same except for missing the Mimikyu. I don't believe there was a Marnie in the last list, and other than that, the list is exactly the same. So you kind of see, right, how for the most part, Decidueye has been kind of figured out recently. It's become sort of a very well-refined deck list recently, and a lot of people are playing very similar lists because there's really only been one solid sort of skeleton that's seen a lot of success recently, and it's this one. So or one's very similar to this, right? So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about that. We already covered Decidueye. I don't want to just I don't want to repeat the same decks, and that's kind of what this video struggles with. These types of videos struggle with sometimes, but yeah. So this is sort of another idea, I guess. If you're looking to run a Marnie instead of Mimikyu, go ahead and do that. With decks like this, taking one card out and replacing it with one card isn't necessarily going to change the deck much at all. It's just going to drastically change like that one specific scenario. And Mimikyu is very good in some scenarios as well, especially because Decidueye can damage spread. You have goons to place damage counters. But overall, I don't feel like it's going to make the deck any worse for the most part, like overall. Just in that one matchup spread, I suppose. But I like Mimikyu personally. Okay. So big shout out to Emerald, man. And then we have Espinola. He's from, what is this, Mexico? Yes. And he was playing Centiskorch. Got 6th in the tournament with Centiskorch, our second highest placing. Centiskorch. Let's see what version. There's a lot of versions of Centiskorch popping up these days. And this is Centinets, so ability Centiskorch with double in there, which is actually pretty cool. So, yeah, so we got the 3-3 lineup of Centiskorch, the Jirachi engine with Volcania, and those are our starting Pokemon. We have 2 Eldegoss in this deck to get those Welders back and those bosses back late in the game. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you'll have the bench space late in the game, but I guess for consistency reasons, like if one's prize, you really do want that Eldegoss. 2 Dedennes, and then we have 1 double, 1 Crobat, and 1 Heatran. The double is actually a very, very good late game sweeper Pokemon. Now, you can hit for 270 if your opponent has 1 prize card remaining, which is definitely very good. You don't get 1 KO'd by a Zacian as long as it doesn't have the ADP boost. So this thing is very bulky as well. It's 3 colorless energy, so it's a single turn attachment, with Welder and an energy to set this thing up for an attack. So it's a very good attacker. I love double. It's like a busted Pokemon in my mind. We see it oftentimes in like Welder box decks, but we haven't seen it a lot in Centiskorch, so it's interesting. But in my eyes, it's probably one of the best 2 prize attackers to be running in Welder decks right now. We have 1 Crobat V, and then we have 1 Heatran GX, which is probably the other contender for the best 2 prize attacker in Welder decks. And Heatran is very good in any Centiskorch deck that is running abilities and stuff like that. We also see a Giratina. Giratina is very good. We're running Scoop Up Nets, so Giratina is going to help a lot with discarding those special energies from really any deck, but specifically Lucmetal. Those coding energies are really going to make really going to give you a tough time. And if you're interested in to see what that matchup would look like if he wasn't running Giratina, then definitely go check out the Grand Finals match. Shameless plug, I posted it yesterday. It was an incredible best-of-3 set between Joshua Sutherland and Augusto Benvega, I think his name is. Augusto, or is it Alberto? I think it's Alberto. Either way, great match. Go check that out. It was a different kind of Centiskorch, but he was playing Lucmetal, and he wasn't playing Giratina, and it didn't work out great for him. Spoiler alert. So Giratina is very important. We see 4 Welder, 2 Boss, 1 Bird Keeper. So not a lot of supporters in this deck, but they're all going to be very useful, and you do have 2 Eldegoss. So 4 Quick Ball, 4 Switch, 4 Scoop Up Net, and 3 Pokecom. So 7 Pokemon Search cards, 4 Switch, 4 Scoop Up Nets. Definitely really good in this list. 2 Fire Crystals, which I also find to be very important in this list. 2 Reset Stamps, 1 Great Catcher, actually, 3 Hearth, and only 11 energies, but the 2 Fire Crystals make that a little bit less scary. So yeah, I like this list, man. It's definitely a well-balanced Centiskorch list. I think with abilities Centiskorch, you kind of risk a little bit of consistency for a better matchup spread, except you are running the Jirachi engine and Volcanion and stuff like that, so your starting option should be pretty consistent with the wide variety of Pokemon Search and Scoop Up Nets and Switches. So like, for the most part, like, it should be pretty consistent, but a lot of times decks like this can really brick hard for a few turns, which probably will cost you the game if that happens. It doesn't always happen, but it's something to keep in mind. But very powerful list. We saw Centiskorch absolutely take over the game like a few weeks ago, and it's still been very, very good. Made the finals in this tournament, and he got 7th, or 6th. So yeah, big shout out to Espinola, man. Very cool list. Fabrizio and some other stuff at the end. He's from Peru, went 10-3-1, got 5th in the tournament, and he is playing ADP, so we're going to take a look at 2 more ADPs in a row right now. I know everyone likes to look at ADP. Okay, so what's different about this ADP list? He's running 3 Dedennes and 1 less Zacian, so not 4 Zacian, 3 Zacian. We see... What else do we see? We see 4 Boss, 1 Great Catcher here. 2 Marnies. What's different? Okay, so the tool cards are a bit different. He's running 1 Vitality Band, 2 Big Charm, and 1 Air Balloon instead of like 2 and 2 or 3 and 1 or whatever. So these 3 tool cards are very good in ADP. Like, they each have their own great case to be in this deck. The only problem is, I think, like, when you run one of all 3, like of 3 different tool cards. It's hard to find the right ones. This deck list is not running Skyla, so it's a little bit less consistent to find the exact tool card that you might need at any point. But each one is very good. Big Charm, of course, puts ADP out of range most of the time from getting KO'd by Eternatus. It still can happen, but it definitely helps, and it's good for all of your other Pokemon that are under, that have like 160, 180 HP as well. So Big Charm, very good. Vitality Band, of course, extends the damage from Zacian to KO 270 HP tag team Pokemon, which can be very clutch. And then Air Balloon, of course, is really good to give your Zacians free retreat, as well as most cards in this deck free retreat, which is obviously really good because Zacian needs to switch in and out to use its attack every turn. So there's each tool card has its own case, its own reason why you would play it. So it kind of like at first glance would make sense that you run, one of each, or at least one of each of those 3. 1 Chaotic Swell, and then he's running 9 Metal Energies with 3 Water, so an extra energy in this deck. To me, I don't feel like adding more energy in ADP is that big of an issue. It's not going to make the deck that much less consistent, and a lot of times, you're pretty hungry for energies. You have 4 Metal Saucers, so this deck is pretty fast-paced, and discarding that Metal Energy early in the game is going to be really good to get with those E-switches, which you do have 4 of. So I like this ADP list. At first glance, it's hard to remember what's, exactly different from the other one. I know Skyla was in the other one. The tool cards are different. There might be a few things that are a little bit different, but overall, the ADP skeleton is very similar. Most ADP decks are going to have not too much variance, and it really comes to what you prefer to run. And an ADP list like this looks very appealing in my eyes. On paper, it seems like this deck could be unstoppable if you draw all the right things, right? That's just how it goes. But oftentimes you're probably not drawing everything that you need, right? But on paper, this deck list seems like it could be absolutely ridiculous. So definitely really cool. Shout out to Fabrizio. Got 5th in the tournament with ADP. Next up, we have Gabriel Baptista from Brazil. He went 11-4, and he was also playing ADP. Got 4th in the tournament. Let's see what his ADP list is looking like. Okay. So this ADP list is a little bit different. He's running 3 Dedenne, but he is running 4 Zacian. He's running 2 Mawiles. Yeah. So I don't. Again, I just space on what the last Pokemon count was in these decks, but okay. So I think 2 Mawile is a little bit different, and then 3 Dedenne on top of 4 Zacian. Okay, he's got the 4/4 boss lineup research with only 1 Marnie in the deck, which is interesting to just see 1 Marnie. 4 Saucer, 4 Switch, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Energy Switch, 3 Cherish Balls, 2 Spinners, 1 Tool Scrapper, 1 Great Catcher. Okay. So what's a little bit different here? I think the extra Mawile has taken the place of maybe a Water Energy. He's only got 2 Water Energies and 8 Metal. I like 3 Water personally. I say it all the time. It protects you from one getting prized and one getting scoop and one getting hit off with Crushing Hammers, right? So having 3 is definitely very good for consistency reasons. He's got 2 Vitality Band and 2 Air Balloons, so no Big Charm in this list. Like I said, right, it's all kind of up to preference in 1 Chaotic Swell. So this deck is cool. Again, it just comes down to what you prefer, what minute differences you would like to include in your ADP list, and that all comes from playtesting, and that all just comes from preference. So big shout out to Gabe's Batista. Sorry I didn't cover your deck list too much. It's the 5th time we covered ADP. So, but big shout out to you, my man. Next up we have Ricardo Totti, another Brazil native. He got 3rd in the tournament, went 11-3-1, and he was playing Lucmetal. So this is our 2nd highest placing Lucmetal in the tournament. All right. Okay, so this is a bit different. It's not too much different, but it's definitely a little bit different. We see 4 Zacian, 2 Lucmetal, 2 Zamazenta, but he's got 1 Aegislash and 1 Galarian Stunfisk V, which is definitely interesting to see. I don't know if Galarian Stunfisk V is incredibly good in this deck. I think it doesn't really help with Decidueye. That's what you have Aegislash for. I'm not sure exactly why you would run Galarian Stunfisk V, but I guess it could be clutch, and I guess in a few matchups that aren't on the top of my head. Similar supporter count here from everything else. We got the Guzmahal in there. Cool to see. Tag Call Engine. We have 4 tag team supporters and 2 tag team Pokemon, so Tag Call makes sense. We have 3 dolls instead of 2. 1 Scrapper, 4 Goggles, and 1 Stealthy Hood. That Stealthy Hood, of course, like I said, is becoming more and more popular in Lucmetal. It's a very smart play. And then we have 1 Swell, 10 Basic Metal, and 3 Coating Metals. So I guess if you're running Stealthy Hood, you don't need to run a 4 of Coating Energy. But in my eyes, if I was playing Lucmetal, I would run 4 Coating Energies just because I get a little bit sketched out in my own head, I guess, in some ways. But But yeah, sorry, I forgot to scroll down there on the screen. But yeah, so super cool. Lucmetal list. I'm not sure exactly why Galarian Stunfisk V is here. I would love to see that thing in action and just see how that thing works. But yeah, okay. Okay. All right, cool. Ricardo Totti, man. Shout out to you for getting third in the tournament with Galarian Stunfisk V. I love to see it. Next up, we have Real AB7. He is from Italy. 12, 3, and 1. He went to Grand Finals playing Centiskorch, and he got second in the tournament. Let's take a look at his Centiskorch list. Now, of course, he did lose to Lucmetal, which a lot of people might be like, oh, how does he lose to Lucmetal? But realistically, that matchup is not that easy if you don't prepare for it, and Joshua Sutherland is a fantastic player. So one thing that you'll notice here, this is ability Centiskorch, but he's missing one key card, and that is Giratina. He's also not running Scoop Up Nets, which is just, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Yeah, so no Giratina means that he can't discard the coding energies from Lucmetal, which is difficult, right? And Lucmetal has Crushing Hammers and stuff like that. It's got Zamazenta to block your Centiskorch VMAX, so it makes the matchup pretty awkward. Those Zacians can one-hit KO things like Heatran and like Centiskorch V, so you really have to play that matchup pretty smart. No Scoop Up Nets, which is also very interesting. We see a Big Charm, which is actually kind of clutch. Like he was able to put that Big Charm onto Centiskorch V, got it out of range of getting KO'd by Zacian V. That kind of put Josh in the position to where he had to find Tool Scrapper a few times, and he was able to, which really was pretty clutch in that matchup. Like I said, this list is and one other thing I want to note is he's not running Fire Crystal. I'm not knocking on Real AB7 here. I'm just pointing things out that sort of were different than other Centiskorch lists. So yeah, no Giratina, no Fire Crystal, so he's running 13 energy, but once those energies go, there's no way to get them back. And I think at least one Fire Crystal in Centiskorch is a good idea. Oftentimes, just because like you're piling energies often on Centiskorch or on Heatran, whatever it might be, and if those things get knocked out, you're losing out on a lot of energy. And if you're not running Fire Crystal, it's really tough to really make the decision to discard any fire energy throughout your game. So, it stands to be questioned whether you should be running Fire Crystal or not. I would say yes. We have 4 Quick Ball, 4 Pokecom, and 2 Great Ball, so plenty of Pokemon searching here. We do see the double again. He's got 4 Welder, 3 Boss, and 2 Research, which is a little bit higher of a supporter count than we typically see. And Centiskorch with more, of course, Pokemon search cards. He's got 1 Reset Stamp and 1 Great Catcher as well, with 3 Giant Hearth. So it's it's just interesting. Like in some ways, this deck list is more consistent in other matchups because you don't really have to deal with you have to deal with less Pokemon. You have more consistency supporters. You have more energies. You just have more of what you might need in the early game, but late game and especially in that Lucmetal matchup, it just becomes harder and harder to sort of manage your resources. You kind of just get outlasted, I guess, by Lucmetal, or at least you're able to, right? I'm not saying that Lucmetal has a good matchup against this list, but for a great player like Joshua Sutherland, who won the tournament and beat Real AB7 here in the finals, it's definitely one of those things where I guess, he was probably wishing at the time that he was playing either Fire Crystal or Giratina. I think that just would have helped him in the matchup for sure. But yeah, again, like as long as you're not like too worried about getting like beat by like a Lucmetal in the finals, or like hitting a very talented Lucmetal player, then this Centiskorch list is more than fine. Personally, I would recommend running Scoop Up Nets, and I would recommend running Giratina, and probably just 1 Fire Crystal as well. And that's not a lot of cards. Like, you just kind of find room for those cards in this list, and it just becomes a little bit more viable, in my opinion. Again, Real AB7, man, he got second in the tournament, and had a really, really great performance. It went 12-3-1. So this list is definitely not bad. He's definitely a great player. So it's just something I wanted to point out. And if you're more interested, or if you want to sort of understand more why I'm talking about these things, then definitely go check out the Grand Finals match that I posted yesterday on my YouTube channel. There'll be a little card for it up here, I think, up there, way up there. I don't know. But yeah, okay. So we're about 40 minutes in. Joshua Sutherland's tournament winning list is up here, 13-3-0. He was playing Lucmetal. We have seen plenty of Lucmetal so far, but I'm not going to go ahead and spoil this list for you guys. Tomorrow we will be posting the the deck list analysis video where we take a look at Josh's list specifically and we go in depth on that list. So until then, guys, we're not going to go ahead and cover Josh's list. So I apologize if you don't want to wait. Then definitely go check out. It's up here on Limitless on the Chill TCG, our Chill Series number 17 page. But we're gonna cover it tomorrow, so I'm not gonna take a look at it now. I do it every week. You guys probably hate it, so I apologize. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Matty from Chill TCG. Thank you guys all for playing in Chill Series number 17. It means a whole lot to me that you guys play. But if you're watching this now, please definitely go register for the $3,000 GG Tour Chill TCG Cup. Registration link is down below. It's tomorrow. It's the biggest tournament of the month. It's a crazy prize pool. It's gonna be super fun, and Chill TCG is running it. So that's one reason to play, I guess. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon, and peace out.